if I grab this empty PMag and I start squeezing the feed lips on here, there's no movement, there's no tension. And if it gets bumped, all right, it can actually bump and spill the rounds out into the gun. That can create a malfunction on itself. If you're dropping down into the prone, you bump the magazine on the deck, you're running, you bump the magazine, right? You can actually induce a malfunction into the rifle because of that magazine.
Need a little bit of extra energy during your range trip? Give W Energy a try for a sugar-free and more cost-effective alternative to traditional energy drinks. Use code PA at checkout for 10% off your order.
I was very skeptical whenever I saw this, not just because it's from Fieldcraft Survival, but because I've been shooting with not PMags for almost a decade, and I have never experienced any issue that has been brought about by me slamming the magazine on the ground or using it as a monopod or anything crazy like that. Now, there were two main points in this video. One is to not trust anything other than a Gen 3 PMag because the feed lips apparently don't move on the PMag but will move on basically any other magazine. And number two was those feed lips moving are what can cause malfunctions whenever you slam the magazine onto the ground. So, in front of me I have 6 different magazines. We're going to test that first claim to see if the feed lips actually move. Now, we already filmed the dropping part, so we'll get to that in a little bit. But first off, we have an ETS group mag. These are generally considered some of the worst magazines that you could possibly buy. Not only did they pass the drop test.
All right, so we're down here. We're at 300 yards. That doesn't really matter, but I'm going to be basically dropping the magazine directly onto the butt because according to the guys over at Fieldcraft, or that one stereotypical looking bearded guy, if you smack the bottom of the magazine too hard while it's in the gun, it can cause malfunction. I'm going to drop it on this railroad tie, and then we're going to grab it and shoot a handful of shots and see if it works. Each magazine is going to be loaded with 30 rounds. So this is about shoulder height for me, about 7'8". Okay, and let's give it a blast. So that was with the ETS mag. It didn't cause malfunction, but now it's loaded a little bit lighter. Let's try and drop it again. Shoulder height. Oh, my camera got toppled. So that's with the ETS shitty mag. Let's see how it works on the other mags.
The feed lips very clearly move back and forth. You can see this. Now, I'm not the strongest guy, clearly. I'm not the weakest guy there ever was. And I'm able to bend the feed lips on this magazine, and that didn't cause any malfunctions. Let's try it with some ammo. I can quite literally squeeze this so much that I can pop rounds out of the top. Now, the next magazine we have is the Mission First Tactical, or MFT magazines. These are what I have been using for about 10 years and not had any problems, so let's check. It's kind of hard to tell, but there is some movement in the feed lips. It's not a ton, but there is some. Let's try it with ammunition now. That might make it a little bit easier. You can see the rounds kind of flex and move down a little bit.
This is the Mission First Tactical MFT magazine, fully loaded. Drop it, shoot 3 shots, pick it back up, drop it again, shoot another 3 shots. I'm expecting also no malfunctions with this one. Nice solid hit. No problems, let's drop it again. That was... Oh, interesting. We did have a malfunction. A bit of a double feed there. So the Mission First Tactical mag actually did have a malfunction when dropping it from shoulder height the second time when the magazine wasn't fully loaded.
Next up, we have an aluminum magazine from Palmetto State Armory, and surprisingly, the feed lips on this also move a little bit. Again, very slight, but still movement. You can see with ammunition, again, the movement is very, very slim. There's almost none at all. And yes, we did destroy the bottom of the magazine during our testing, but hey, it still works. It's still cycled fine. There were no malfunctions.
Well, this is a Palmetto State Armory aluminum or steel, I don't know. It's metal. It's just, I believe it's an aluminum magazine. So shoulder height. No issues. Drop it again. Again, no issues.
Now here we have a Gen 2 PMAG. So this is a Gen 2, and surprised to say, not really, but the feed lips on the Gen 2 PMAGs also move because this is a plastic magazine. So let's put ammunition inside of it, and what do you know, the feed lips on this move as well. Again, I'm not the strongest man in the world, but hey, whatever.
We now have a Gen 2 PMAG in this old bad boy, and we're gonna do the same thing. So far, only the MFT mag has failed, so let's try it. Drop. Nice little flip. Gen 2 PMAG had no issues, baby.
Next up, we have a Gen 3 PMAG. This is actually brand new. I purchased this and did the testing with it today. And surprisingly, there is very minimal flexing. So he was basically right about that. There is very minimal flexing on this Gen 3 PMAG. Let's try with ammunition. And with ammunition, you can very clearly see that it is flexing. It's not enough to pop the rounds out of the top like the ETS mag. There still is movement. So I don't know if he was just being purposefully dense or if he wasn't trying very hard. I don't know why he said that the feed lips are rigid and don't move. That seems kind of weird to me.
If I grab this empty PMAG and I start squeezing the feed lips on here, all right, it's built reinforced enough where if I push on this, there's no movement, there's no tension. I can't squeeze that together.
All right, this is a Gen 3 PMAG, explicitly what he called out as being kind of the like go-to. Shoulder height, and drop. No problems, no malfunctions. Hey. Still no malfunctions.
And finally, we have some of the more higher end mags, quote unquote. This is a Lancer mag. Lancer. So it is polymer, but it does have metal feed lips. The metal feed lips on this also flex. We can see that the Lancer actually flexes quite a bit, and I can almost pop the rounds out of the top.
All right, here we have the Lancer mag, loaded up with 30 rounds. Same exact thing, let's see what happens. Shoulder height. No issues, let's drop it again. No, not my camera. Again, no issues whatsoever.
So what were the final results of our testing? Every single magazine you see here in front of you, besides the MFT magazine, passed. So ETS group passed. You saw very flexible feed lips, so much so that I was able to actually eject rounds out of the top by flexing those feed lips. With PSA, surprising aluminum, still flexes a little bit. Took a pretty hard hit to the bottom of it. It still is working fine. The Gen 2 PMAG, again, flexes, still works fine. The Gen 3 PMAG flexes, but again, still works fine. And the Lancer flexes, but still works fine. So I don't know about this, I don't know what caused this, because to be fair, whenever it was full of 29 rounds and there was a round in the chamber and we dropped it, it didn't really cause an issue. There was no issue whatsoever. It was that second drop when the magazine was whenever it was at 27 rounds, that's whenever we had the issue. So again, I've been using these for 10 years. I don't really know, but from what I can say from our testing, this was about the only mag that you really need to worry about. That ETS group magazine, this was about the lowest of the low. These are like the cheapest, like bottom tier magazines that you could possibly get. And even these succeeded totally fine. Do you have to really worry about what kind of magazine you get? Not really. I mean, I guess unless you're getting Mission First Tactical, then you kind of do. But again, not really. Could we have dropped these on concrete, harder surfaces, and could that have made a difference or had an impact? Sure, maybe, but the railroad tie was pretty hard. I mean, it was hard enough to physically bend the metal of the metal magazine. So I dropped it from shoulder height onto a pretty hard surface, and they just worked.